Maybe it's early morning like it is here with me right now, or maybe it's later in the day and you decide to go for a run. But the thing that you're dreading is dealing with your allergies. This is something I experience. Hopefully you're not like me because I have to deal with it all year round. It's not just seasonal for me. It's the kind of pain we want to avoid as runners. We embrace all kinds of pain. We get in there, we run hard, we work hard to become better, but then there's all this irritation with allergies. So, I'm Jesse Funk, and on today's episode of Runner's High, we're going to talk about your allergies and what you can do to avoid that pain of allergies and keep running. So I have to start with a little brief story about me, I guess. And that's that I deal with allergies all year long. It's particularly bad when the weather changes. Doesn't matter whether it's getting colder or getting warmer. Sudden weather changes and everything goes haywire up here. It's just a mess. It's actually so bad, I would be hawking loogies on long runs that this happens so frequently that my teammates decided that if I accidentally hit them with a loogie, it was actually good luck. Fortunately for me, I ran with a great group of guys who had a good sense of humor about it, because it sucks to live with. It's gross, and you get that reaction, right? Oh God, why you're doing that? It's like, well, I don't want to do it either, but you deal with it. So if you're like me and you deal with it all year, or even if it's seasonal, the first step on the road to recovery, as we know, is accepting that you have a problem or admitting that you have a problem. For the longest time, I was just like, this is just my dumb face and my dumb nose. Like, I just have problems. That's just what it is. And I powered through it. It hurt me early on in my running career when I would try to, sprint at the end. Everything would be clogged up, and I'd start gasping for air. I couldn't breathe right. It was terrible, and eventually I developed this method of just hawking these loogies to try to clear my system. But really, that wasn't the best fix, so to speak. And I had to get to the point where I could say, yes, I do have allergies, and identify that's my problem before I could move on to do anything about it. So, if you feel like this is you, or you have any inkling this is you, it probably is. So now we can go on to what you can do about it. The really easiest, simple solution is get some kind of medication, some antihistamines, something to deal with your particular allergic reaction. Now, what you're allergic to is going to vary, obviously, but if it's seasonal, it's probably some kind of pollen that's creating a problem. With me, I have all kinds of different issues. Like I said, weather-related, pollen-related, dust, chlorine. When I get out of the pool, I have to wash my face off with the body wash that we make, has vitamin C in it to deal with chlorine. So you have to figure out what it is that your problem is and then address it with some kind of medication. That's the simplest thing. Now, there are things that are OTC, over the counter, that you can get. I personally use Flonase. I'm not sponsored by Flonase. I'm not a doctor. I wish I was sponsored by Flonase. But the point here is that there are options for you to try over the counter to figure out, hey, just as a test, is this the thing that's going to help me? Now, with this in particular, I know that it takes really, for me, a couple weeks to get to a point of homeostasis where things are dried up, I can breathe better. But it was a almost revelation for me when I started using it. And my friend John, who I swam with at the gym, his daughter's a nurse and has kind of encountered this before, and he kept me on, hey, try this, give it a couple weeks. Well, I did that, and it was just amazing, the difference. When I was doing these speed workouts after I'd started taking it and gotten to the point where things were kind of cleared up and dry, it was like I never breathed before at all. It's such a difference. So if you can find some kind of OTC application that's non-drowsy, that's the biggest thing. And the reason I avoided it for the longest time, I was like, I can't afford to be drowsy. I got things to do. But there are options now. So try that as a first step. The next thing you want to think about is protecting yourself during your run. Now with me, I'm allergic to all kinds of different things as it turns out, but for you it may just be, hey, when the pollen count's going to be high, then you need to take some protective measures. And these can be things that are basically going to be protecting your face, right? Because that's where all these irritants kind of enter our system, generally speaking. Eyes, nose, ears, mouth. They get in, then we have this histamine response, and everything goes haywire from there. So you can think about easy things like just wearing sunglasses. So we're trying to prevent airflow towards those orifices, bringing all of those irritants into our system. So wearing sunglasses, wearing a hat cuts down on airflow towards our face. You can, in some cases, go even as far as wear a sport mask. There's this company, U2 Sport Masks. I am not affiliated with them. I have not tried their product. But if you've been around running for any number of years, you know that Galen Rupp won the national title wearing one of these back in 2011, the 10,000 meter national title. And he wore it because he wanted to deal with the pollen count. Now, if you want to see me figure out the efficacy of these masks, if we can figure out a testing method, let me know in the comments down below. I think they're kind of interesting, especially in the era right now where everybody's wearing masks for Corona and all of that. It's interesting to see any kind of data we can get on an efficacy test for a mask. Now, I will say, to clarify, the U2 Sport Mask is not for coronavirus. That's a whole other issue. But it is supposed to be for pollen and general irritants, larger particles in the air. So all of these things are things you can consider when you're going out for a run and you've got all of these irritations. If you're not like me and it's just seasonal, not a year-round thing, then those are things you can take into account for particularly high pollen count days or whatever that irritation is for you. Of course, the last thing to think about is once we get back from a run, we've got to get all that junk off of us immediately. And by junk, I mean all the clothes you're wearing. You've got to get in the shower because you're carrying all of those irritants, right? Dirt, pollen, ragweed, whatever it is that bothers you, it's on your body and becomes an irritation. I mentioned this earlier. For me, in the pool, chlorine is not an irritant in terms of allergic reaction like we think of pollen, but it does have kind of a chemical burn type reaction which ends up causing inflammation, so it can feel similar to allergies. Why am I talking about this? Because when I swim every week, I have to get out of the pool and then immediately wash my face off. And I use our shampoo and conditioner. It's got vitamin C in it, which neutralizes chlorine. Vitamin C is good for your skin anyway, so you can actually use this body wash regardless. Solpre.com/shop. But my point being that in this case, because of how things are right now, I'm not showering at the gym. I'm coming home and doing a full shower. But so if you don't have access to a shower, but you have access to a sink when you get done with your run, wash your face off immediately, because as we discussed, that's where all those irritants are basically entering your body, and you want to get everything off of your face as much as you can. It's going to be on the rest of your body and have the potential to enter, but because that's the issue right here, your moneymaker, you want to get that washed off immediately. That should hopefully help those downline symptoms where later in the day you're starting to feel it. You're not going to have as much of that. That's definitely what I experience with chlorine when I get it off of my face. I don't have the inflammation in my nose later on because I'm assuming because I'm neutralizing it with the vitamin C and it's on my face immediately, I'm not going to have those irritations begin to build up and that inflammation start. So my theory here, again, I'm not a doctor, is that when you do that, you're not going to have the potential for all of those irritants to enter into your body, become an issue, and start that kind of chain reaction of inflammation and overproduction of histamines in your body. So, what's your particular allergy? How do you suffer? How do you fix it? What do you do to deal with it? Leave it in the comments below. And as always, to get more videos about running and let me help you become the best runner you could be, subscribe to the channel and stick around. I'll see you next time on the next episode of Runner's High.